All right, flute players, we have an exciting set of lessons coming up for us. First of all, we're going to talk about the parts of the flute really quickly and how to put it together in case you missed that. So you have the head joint of the flute. The head joint has three parts. It has the tenon, that's the part that goes in the rest of the flute. It has the lip plate with the embouchure hole in it. And then it has the crown, which goes into, it screws onto the head cork. The head cork is what sets the length of the flute, and it helps you play in tune. And for our purposes, we are going to leave the head cork alone. So the embouchure hole has a raised lip plate and a tone hole with a wall in it. And if you can see the wall, it's right up in there. Where the color of our lip changes from the color of the lip to the color of the face, that's the area where we want to have the flute sit. Right on the edge there. And the tone hole in the lip plate needs to be parallel to the ground. And for right now, I'm going to cover the end of the tenon with my hand to create a low pitch. And with slow, warm air, warm like you're warming your fingers up in the winter, we're going to blow through about a straw-sized hole in our lips. And I'll get closer so you can see from the angle that you would see if you were me. And that's how we get our primary sound. The secondary sound comes from holding the tenon out here. Same thing. We want to make sure the corners of our embouchure, the embouchure is how you set your lips to play, the corners of our embouchure should be low, kind of like a frown. One of my teachers called it the flute frown. If we smile, it directs the air in a different plane and makes it hard to make the sound. Now I'm going to cover the hole again on the tenon. And now I'm going to increase the air to a smooth and cold speed. The cold air is like when you're trying to cool off a spoonful of soup. That's slow air. Here's faster. And I'll show you from the side because this is where you get a lot of the information here. So my upper lip here is directing the air more down, and it's faster to get the high note. When it's slower, it goes more across, and it is warmer. Once you've mastered those three positions, you're ready to put your flute together. And I will talk about taking the flute and putting it into the body joint. The body joint has all the keys on it. The foot joint only has 3 keys on it. The body joint has a small tenon, and then it has a longer socket called the barrel. And the tenon from the head joint goes into the barrel. It should slide smoothly. If not, wipe it off with a paper towel and some rubbing alcohol. To know if your flute is lined up correctly, you look down the keys and you see if the hole of the lip plate is lined up with that first pad there. And on mine it's not yet, so I'm going to adjust that so that the hole here is in line with that key. The visual reference for the foot joint, a lot of people want to line up the 2 bars of keys, and that's going to put your pinky finger reaching down behind, and that's not going to be very comfortable. So we actually line the bar for the keys in the middle of the last pad for your right hand. All woodwind instruments are held with the left hand closest to the mouth and the right hand furthest away from the mouth. So on flute, it's a little tricky, and I'm actually going to get one of my markers. So when we get the flute put together, it's really important to know which keys to put your fingers on and which keys to avoid. And on a flute, almost all the keys look the same. And so I typically mark for my students which keys that they do not want to put their fingers on. So from the top, so we've got the lip plate here. The next two keys you see are two little silver keys that are together in the back. Those are called the trill keys. We don't use those until much later in middle school band. So I mark those with a little bit of dry erase marker. It will rub right off. It won't damage the silver. So those two keys need to be marked. And then on the front of the flute, we have this key, which looks like two more little silver keys. This one actually doesn't have a pad under it. This is just a touch piece that closes this key. And because without this touch piece, our finger would have to go way back to close that finger, they add a touch piece here so that all three of the first small keys are ones that we don't put our finger on. Our finger goes on the smooth, smaller key, and then we skip the first full-size key. We put our finger on the second full-size key and the third one. Our pinky will be used to touch this long pinky finger note, but that doesn't come up until later in the book, so we're going to just let our pinky kind of hang above it for now. Then there are two keys that are full-size that we skip. Next to that second one, there's a little extra key here. That'll be discussed later on. And then we have three right hand fingers in a row. 1, 2, 3. And then on the foot joint, for right now, the only pinky finger we're going to use is this larger one that has the big cork underneath it. These other two are for the lowest two notes, and we won't get to those until later in the second book either. So for right now, we skip the two small keys and then the first small key on the front. We go small key, skip a large key, large key, pinky, but we float on that. Skip two large keys, go large key, large key, large key, and then the closest pinky finger. Okay? When I refer to those fingerings, it'll be thumb. Also we got two thumb keys. Right now we're going to use the big one for most things. We'll use the small one for an alternate B flat, which we'll get to about 3 pages into what we're doing. So the large thumb key is for your thumb. We have first, second, third on the left hand, first, second, third on the right hand, and pinky. And that's how I'll refer to all of the fingerings as thumb, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, pinky. And sometimes we have to have a note like B flat, which is thumb and first on the other hand. So I'll say thumb 1, 1, B flat. And then the pinky finger, except for one note, is used often to help hold the flute. Speaking of holding the flute, without the flute up in playing position, it's very difficult to transition from some of our fingerings because we use the lip to help balance the instrument. So here are the balance points on your flute. On the lip, the side of your index finger, your thumb, the thumb on the right hand goes underneath to hold it up, and then that pinky finger, all except for that one note, that pinky finger helps hold it up. So really, you're holding it up with your lip, the side of your left hand first finger, your thumb, and your pinky. So it sounds like this. All right, in the next video, we're going to get to exercises 1, 2, and 3 all in one video. All right, have a great day.